Welcome to episode 69 of Masters of the Forge. My name is Love Dr. Adam, and I have with me Jason, the tent pole.
Oh, man. Hello, everyone. You started that and I just couldn't stop laughing. I actually, moved my head away from the microphone. It was hilarious.
I just guffawed right into the microphone, which is totally professional. I'm sure that will cause no problems when trying to level the recording later. So, how you been, Jason? It's been only a few days since we talked because we did an interview for this episode.
Yeah, that's right.
But
I'm doing all right. How are you, man?
I had macaroni and cheese and kielbasa for lunch, so that's generally a good gauge of the kind of mood I'm participating in at the moment. I've been working on some terrain, actually. I've been working on, not like terrain, but my fortifications, because I finished that orc infantry we were talking about in the past few episodes.
Yeah.
I'm super excited those are done. And they came out pretty good. It took forever because of that orc wash catastrophe.
Oh, yeah, I remember that. I remember seeing that.
Now, one of the fellas on Sean told me that if I had done a little dip of distilled white vinegar and kind of brushed it, the deposits might have cleared up. He said they're called it's called efflorescents, which are naturally occurring salts that are present in some weathering compounds, depending on the materials used. He said it's really, really common in cement and stuff like that, and they always have to. It's one of the things they have to concern themselves with when doing that. So, if you pour cement, I guess there is sometimes this, white film on top of things, and that's the salts. They kind of rise to the top. And since the vinegar is just as acidic, or just acidic enough to dissolve the salt deposit. Because salt isn't just table salt. There's lots of different kinds of salts. And... and the vinegar should take care of it. So the next time that happens, I kind of wanted to do a test run to see if it actually worked before the episode, but I didn't do that. But for anybody else who sees that, either in their pigments or in paint or whatever, give that a try. So you tell me what you think, because I think that's a good tip. Thanks, Sean.
That's pretty cool. That is a great tip.
Yeah.
I have to keep that in mind.
Yeah. So, I've been working on the Kielbursta, my void shield generator, and I've been kind of updating some of my fortifications. All my fortifications were blue and red, and it was this purplish blue that went well with the red, and it looked kind of Night Lords-y colors. Mm-hmm. But my crackbone blue and yellow scheme is the blue and yellow scheme for that part of my army is probably more appropriate, so I decided to go ahead and update those fortifications. But building the void shield generator and working on the Kielbursta was a lot of fun. I'm using this old Hot Wheels toy that has been used as a void shield generator by many people in the past in our group. Kind of has passed hands a few times, and this time I used it, it was time I started using it, and I got my bits together and some old computer parts and glued them all on there, and I started painting. Broke out the airbrush and started painting it. I'm really kind of pleased with that. It's coming along pretty well.
Cool.
Yeah, and the Kielbursta I'm really proud of because it kind of started out as this Land Raider that John gave me. It was very, very much only really good for orcifying because it was in just a horrific shape. But he knew that I could make something out of it. So at first it was like the story was going to be it's kind of a land raider that the orcs stole from the magpies, and we took it and made it into something else. It was a land raider, so it's like kind of big for a battle wagon, kind of wide for a battle wagon. And I had this extra engine laying around from the Thunderhawk transporter, so I just kind of glued that to the front. and just started adding bits, and it looked kind of out of place. I thought I was done building, and I looked at it, I'm like, no, something else, this needs more, because I kind of glued it to the back of the Land Raider.
Yeah,
because I was switching it up in the reverse, so that because the front is all cut out, like I cut all that out. Okay. So I kind of going for the heavy armor in the front / back. So it looked a little weird. So what I did was I had this empty space in the back that was just open towards like the top rear of the vehicle, and it was just there. And I thought, well, that's might be where some of the orcs get out or whatever. But then I thought, I was looking at the Kill Blasta, and it's got these cool like pipes hanging out the back and stuff, and the thing clearly has an engine rated far too high for the vehicle it is. And I thought, well, I think maybe this needs some piping, and I thought, well, maybe I'll go to the train store and pick up some PVC pipe. Then I thought, well, wait a minute, Lowe's is a lot closer. Right? So I went to Lowe's and bought $15 worth of copper piping and joints and stuff, and I built 3 copper pipes coming out of the back of it. And I also did take some of my square channels, my plastic hard square channels, and trimmed off the smokestacks in the quote front, and kind of redid the front there a little bit with some I put some green stuff for hoses and stuff, so it looks more blended into the actual structure of the vehicle now.
Yeah,
and it's looking a lot better. Really happy with how that turned out.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about those exhaust pipes and the copper tubing, because it's giving me some ideas for what to do with that Land Raider I'm reclaiming.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
There we go. Yeah, I'm not sure. I have to go back and look at some smokestacks, because I have a feeling that I go too far down the stack with my soot. I'm always feeling like I'm going too far down with that weathering. I need to check out a real picture to see if that actually happens or not. I'm getting the feeling that it doesn't.
I haven't seen the picture yet, or at least I don't think I have. I don't know. It's grim dark.
Yeah.
Who knows how old that thing is?
Getting excited about the knights. I need to purchase some shield templates, because I think I'm going to have such weird poses on these knights that actually trying to figure out the front, side, and rear is just going to be just a nightmare. So I'm going to get some templates for that purpose.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. I kind of wish the fist could go on either arm, because I really want to have I want to build hilts on the swords, on the chain swords, and put them in the hands. I have some pieces from that Terminator model, that Terminator toy, but I would really prefer just to use the fist, but it's not really going to work out, because I want to run 2 what do you call them? Knight, darn it. The ones with the 2 close combat weapons.
Oh, the Gallant?
Yeah. I could do it with the other ones, but the Gallant, it's like I would need a right hand fist, but it only fits on the left.
Ooh,
so yeah, it's unfortunate. So I'm going to think of something. I ordered 2 Bastillodons from Flipside, so that happened.
Sigmar's not going to let you go.
No, I still haven't built a single model, so there we go. There's that. So I keep on reading the codex at night, and or battle tome, or whatever the heck you call it. Seems like fun. We'll see. I bought that Lord Croak. He's a lot of points. I think I might just run him as just a regular Slan Star Master or whatever.
Yeah.
Because he's over 500 points in a 2,000 point army. That's kind of excessive. And then if I'm running, like, each of the Bastiladons is like 300 points or something dumb number like that. And then my Stegodon, my Engine of the Gods, is like 300 points. I'm like running out of points.
How large is this list again?
2,000.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. Yeah. So just those 4 models is like 1,100 points out of my list. And I guess I have to leave some room for core choices. So
yeah, you're supposed to have like what is they don't 3. Do 2 troops choices, like 2 core choices,
3.
right?
They need 3 cores, but it's just really funny. I don't know. I like the big dinosaurs, so I'm just gonna take big dinosaurs and be like say something about it. This week I recorded with 3 different podcasts. I am so exhausted from I don't even want to be here. No offense to the listeners, but I'm just done. I had a lot of fun recording with Signals from the Frontline, Life After the Cover Save, and Veterans of the Long War, all to promote the Golden Sprue Cup GT.
Awesome.
And yeah, we had a lot of fun. Signals from the Frontline is more of a news show, so it was really just a cut and dry. I'm talking about the tournament. Life After the Cover Save. Well, let's get back to that. Veterans of the Long War. We talked about some board games and stuff in addition to the tournament, and we go into a lot more in depth because they had a lot more time. So we went into in depth about the GT and then talked about some board games, which was really cool. Then on Life After the Cover Save was a literal shit show.
Isn't that how it goes? It's a feature, not a bug.
Yeah, right. We had so much fun on that. So please check out those 3 podcasts. Not only because they're good podcasts, but because we have some Masters of the Forge action going on there. I got an email from Terrace asking if we wanted to still do like a feature.
Yeah.
So I need to reply to him. And also I wanted to send a shout out to Chris Morgan, from
Forge the Narrative.
Thank you, Forge the Narrative. He actually he told us about a story called the Stormark Massacre, which is a story about the Angels Sanguine and their dreadnoughts. It's like a dreadnought story.
Oh.
Yeah. I didn't get a chance to download it and read it this weekend, but I'll probably do that before episode 70 because I am very intrigued by it. Especially, it got me looking up this Angel Sanguine, and they seem awesome. They really do. They wear masks and stuff, and they're very mysterious. I'm very interested to hear more. I think they feature in a few novels, mostly Deathwatch stuff, it seems, but yeah, I'm looking forward to reading. I'm gonna download that and read that and report back next week, because if the listeners want to go ahead, it's cheap. It's like $4. It's a short story on Black Library, so if you want to talk about that next week, we can do that, and the listeners can listen along. That was a lot of fun. That's all I've been up to. Starting to stress about the GT, but
that'll be great.
Yeah, we'll have a nice time.
It'll be great. I have no worries about that. It'll be fun.
Have you been doing anything in the hobby this week, buddy?
Yeah, I got some stuff done. Let's see. So, we've talked about the Furioso Dread before, the bright red with white undercoat. I finally got all the paint removed off of that thing.
Nice.
That was a nightmare. I mean, I didn't go through and scrub real hard. I let it soak for a while because every time I did anything with it, it just clouded up the water, even if the water was clear. God, that was so horrible. But I've basically got the paint removed. there was layers of super glue all over the place. I sent you pictures and some other people, but it was just kind of horrific how much glue was there. And so I ended up having to use clippers to cut glue out because it was so bad.
Oh, man.
It was just insane how much glue was in there. And it kind of scared me because it was like, all right, if they had to use this much glue to get this thing to stick together, what the hell is going to happen when I start messing with it? Well, there wasn't any problems. Like, it was a really tight fit. Everything on here, I don't know why there was so much glue unless, like, maybe it was one of those really thin glues that just sprayed all over the place.
Might have been a kid who just didn't have the patience. Also tied with maybe the kid didn't understand that you had to wash the metal.
Yeah.
There might have been mold releaser on the metal, making it almost impossible for it to stay glued together.
I didn't even think about that. That might
where you don't have that problem because you washed it 87 times.
Oh no, it was more than 87, man. Trust me. There's
a Googleplex.
It was. There was a lot of or was it simple green on that thing? So yeah, I've got that thing. It's re-glued now. A lot less glue. And I left the arms so they're removable because before there was so much glue that I had to use what is it? A flathead screwdriver to pry them off, the arms off. So let's see what else. I added some Death Watch stuff to it, so it's going to make it a little more interesting. I was going to prime this week, but we've had rain like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday.
I thought you weren't allowed to have rain except for like one monsoon a year.
No, we get those also. No, okay. It's been nuts because I was like, oh yeah, I'll go prime this week, and I just happened to look at the forecast. It's like, oh, it's supposed to rain. Like, whatever. And then it like started raining on Monday and kind of didn't stop until Thursday. So we still had a lot of high humidity, so I haven't gone out to prime it yet. Let's see. The Venator.
Oh, the Venator, yes.
Oh my god. Okay, so it's partially assembled. The resin gates on that thing were immense. Like I couldn't.
What?
Get my
what the
clippers around
heck?
them.
It was like that's one of the things I was a little concerned about. Even though my Thunderhawk came in all the like Forge World bags and the resin looked like Forge World resin. It was the light, good resin. Yeah. And there weren't any like imperfections, but I saw the gates on it. I'm like, no, this must be some kind of knockoff. There's no way Forge World would do gates like this. And then I saw yours. I'm like, geez, beasties! It's like it's at an angle. You have to cut it.
Yeah, yeah. I had to go buy a hobby saw. Like one of my goals was not to buy a hobby saw. It's like, man, I should be able to do it with this and that. Nope.
No, nope. If you try to do it with like nippers, you're gonna ruin the model.
Yeah, like I went through and cut one of them off by it was an inch away from the actual body, and I could not actually get the snips around the square. Like they would not open up wide enough to get into around that gate. And I was like, all right, fine, I'm just gonna go buy a hobby saw. Let's see the gates on this thing. All right, first of all. It's Forge World, it's resin, it's beautiful. Detail is obnoxious. Like, it's so incredible, it is obnoxious. It's just some of those gates they're a mess. Like, there was one part where I was gluing it together, and I couldn't figure out why nothing worked together, why it would fit. And then I realized that some of the gates were in a groove that was supposed to be cleared out so that you could actually fit another tab in there. So... that's been kind of the challenge of this model. The
gate was in a groove?
Yeah. Yeah.
Let me see this. Stupid. Like... freaking...
like there was a gate that was directly into this groove, and I thought, what is this? And so I had to go through, cut that out, and scrape it out, using my... using a face mask so I don't breathe in resin dust, die. So,
my goodness. Yeah, I've got some on here.
You've got some, don't you? Yep.
Oh, man. Just don't put it on a curved surface, guys.
Yeah.
Just don't put it on a curved surface, and we'll be okay.
I've got some on a curved surface, but the gates are a lot smaller, so I can just...
Yeah, there are some ones here I know. I'm looking at it. I know for a fact if I'm not careful with the saw, I am going to ruin the model. There's one coming out from under the knight's chin.
Yep. Not even
what
a shot.
What am I even supposed to do with that?
I'm pretty sure there's a phrasing joke in there somewhere, but I'm going to leave it alone.
Did they put details on Did they put details on the freaking? I don't even know what's going on here.
Yeah, you're gonna have fun.
His chin is divided. Like, it's got a faceplate with plate on either side, and then a grill in the middle.
Yeah.
And the grill is set into the face. And there's a piece, the gate comes out from under the chin. And so, like, it's attached to both sides. I have to, like, carve it out.
Yep.
Do they want to hire me as a sculptor? Is that it? Should I be a sculptor for them so that, like,
I think you should, just because
they want me to sculpt, apparently, because that's what I have to do right now to get this working correctly. I have to sculpt the model for them.
Yeah. So anyways, I've got a couple of things like that.
Well, we'll, it's a cross we bear. I mean, first world problems, right?
Yeah.
Oh no, my what now? 450 pounds of worth in Forge World models has to be cleaned up with a little more skill and time and effort. Well, at least I don't have malaria, I guess. Whatever. Fine.
Yeah, man. That's a trade-off I'll go with.
Sure.
I'm good.
Still doesn't make my freaking... The starving children in China still don't make my Brussels sprouts taste better, so whatever. Anyways, what else have you been up to, my friend?
Started painting the Dune Crawler from the Skitarii box, the Getting Started box.
Oh, cool.
That's been nice. I spent one evening working on that because I don't think I had painted since June because of moves and all that. Wow. So it was really nice to...
According to the Independent Characters show, I guess that the Dune Crawler's the bee's knees in that codex.
Yeah, I listened to that episode also, and I had actually built it like that with the... what's that called? The
Icarus
Array? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's a beautiful little, It's like, oh, you've got flyers? Well, hold on, you had flyers. Let's all.
Did I tell you that damn thing one time shot down my Storm Raven as it came in full of guys in one shot? Because it's with the autocannon or whatever. It was like strength 7, or it's a missile, right? Strength 7, penetrating hit, rolled a 6, and then I roll a 1 on my crash and burn, and it just died. I'm like, well, that was fun. Glad we did that.
Well, yeah, I started painting that because it looked like it would be something easy to jump back into painting with. All right, now let's see. Oh, Land Raider. The Land Raider. The Land Raider. That beautiful red monstrosity. I've been soaking that in simple green now for a while because... How can I put this? Every time I look at it, it would look back and laugh. And I was just like, I don't know what to do. So I pulled it out the other day and started taking a toothbrush to it. My sink now looks like it belongs in a low-budget horror movie where they spent all their money on blood and nothing on plot. It is so nasty. My wife looked at it and went, "You've got to clean this, I'm like, yeah, I know. It'll get taken care of. But it's got some construction problems. I'm going to do something with it. I don't want to turn it into terrain because, I don't know, the construction problems aren't that bad. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to turn it into something that can be used in 30K and 40K both. I'm probably going to go through and add pipes like what you did with your Kill Burst, and I'll get it sorted out. It's just trying to get all that paint off first is kind of a priority. But it was painted on really, really thickly. I mean, every time I put it in there, every time I pull it out of the simple green to kind of look at it, flakes of paint come falling off. It's it's so horrible. And the last thing I've done, I finally built a list for 30K. Finally decided to, put together 2,500 points to see what I needed to build. And with the Venator, and I think I just need to build an apothecary with a jump pack, and I'll have a 2,500 point list. I've got it set, so I'm pretty happy about that. Oh, I need to paint that Contemptor Dreadnought too to make that work. But yeah,
that's pretty cool. I funded the Seraphon by selling that other Betrayal at Calth box.
Mm-hmm.
I really feel like I should be collecting, I don't know, salamanders or something.
You should. Salamanders are awesome. The Pyroclasts are the 30k unit is awesome looking. I mean, it's what salamanders should look like, that unit. Because they are totally cool, dragon scales. They look more feral than a lot of other Space Marine sculpts.
Maybe I'll do a kill teams at some point and see how I like it.
Yeah.
Kill team is a great way to try things out, I think.
Actually do a Zone Mortalis Shattered Legion at about kill team level, and it'll work. It'll be fun.
All right, cool. Yeah, I'll give it a try.
Because they do have, I think, heavy flamers or something like that. They have a flamer that is completely awesome because they're salamanders, of course. So.
Right, yeah. And then it gets really more awesomer in Zone Mortalis.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So, anything else, dude? Sounds like you had a busy week.
Yeah, that's actually it. Surprising. I mean, I'm amazed I actually got all this done because I've been. Oh yeah, well, I've been listening to podcasts again.
Oh, good. Yeah. Lots of good ones out there now.
Oh yeah, I'm really happy. It's that's really nice. And I listened to some audiobooks, and let me tell you that listening to a male voice try and imitate a female voice on the podcasts on the audiobook it's hilarious. If you
hello!
Pretty much. I mean, I'm not trying. I think it's Toby Longworth might be the guy who's doing it. It's for Throne World. I'm not trying to make fun of him. I don't. He's awesome. He's great. It's just listening to it.
Well, what can you do,
really
right?
Made me giggle.
What can you do? It'll only be so good, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. That's awesome. So I want to apologize to listeners for skipping a week. I was just so busy last week. I couldn't do anything. We could use a break anyways. I think it was nice. I think for everybody to have a week off. And that'll happen once in a while. We're at this weekly thing, and sometimes you're just like, I can't do anything this week. So
yeah,
it's fine. All right, man. Unless there's anything else you want to get started, start talking about Wraith constructs.
Yeah, let's do this. It's going to be awesome.
All right. Craftworld Iyanden. 3, 2, 1, contact. Greetings, mofos.
Are you out of George Dickel number 8, staring at a broken chess machine?
Well, don't want to spend the rest of the year tied to that couch?
Well, why don't you head on over to the 1 Hour a Night Facebook page and see what exciting stuff is going on there. It's a place to post all your daily progress in the hobby grind, as well as receive and give positive feedback. Also, there are usually a few interesting challenges going on.
That's right. All you have to do is search for 1 Hour a Night on Facebook. That's numeral 1 Hour a Night, all one word. Blood serum tests will be administered prior to approval.
Se til helvete og kom dere vekk. Det ikke bikkje, det en slags ting. Den imiterer bikkje, men det ikke det. Kom dere vekk, idioter!
What he said. Hey, Masters of the Forge listeners, are you looking to expand your Warhammer 40,000 gaming group?
Do you want to start a 40k club in your area?
Do you want the people you attract to be like-minded mofos?
Do you want to advertise your YouTube channel?
Or even attract more subscribers to your hobby blog or online community?
Then what better way than to advertise on the Masters of the Forge podcast?
All we ask of you is that you email us at mastersoftheforge@gmail.com or message us on Facebook with a full text of your advertisement, including the region in which you live and any contact information people can use to get a hold of you.
We will have one of our many tech servitors read your advertisement on the air. We promise not to make fun of you.
Though we can't always predict the actions of our servitors, you really can't find good help these days.
No, you can't.
Hey everybody, check out Veterans of the Long War, a Warhammer 40k podcast on iTunes and on Facebook. We are a 40k podcast based out of Western Massachusetts with contributors from other parts of New England. We talk hobby, tactics, news, and rumors, check out new releases, and talk about our local and regional 40k scene. We're looking for new contributors, so get in touch if you want to be a part. Check us out on iTunes and Facebook. That's Veterans of the Long War, a Warhammer 40k podcast.
Thanks for listening to our messages. We're back. And, we're starting part 3 here of our Rock'em Sock'em Stompy Robots series. This month is all about the robots and the stompiness. And we would be remiss if we did not do an episode on Craftworld Iyanden. Iyanden is a big topic.
Yeah.
I didn't realize how big a topic this is. There's a lot of material out there for Craftworld Iyanden.
Yeah, that codex is immense. I just kept reading pages and pages I had an online version in EPUB, and I just kept flipping, thinking, I've got to get to the end, right? It's going to be around here somewhere. Seriously? Come on.
Well, they had a couple major engagements, right?
Yeah.
There's 3 really properly major engagements, and then a couple engagements that they thought were major at the time, but turned out to be just precursors to much, much worse things, right? So it's tough, but we'll get through it. We're not going to go into huge detail. There have been a few podcasts who have really done Iyanden credit, and I think even the old podcast did it too. So we're just gonna kind of touch on things that can be touched on in an hour. All right. So who are Craftworld Iyanden? Well, just like any other Craftworld, fortunately for them, the Wraithbone of their big Craftworld starships has this interesting aura about it. So it's like a warp shield of some kind, which protected all the Craftworld Eldar when She Who Thirsts kind of exploded into being. This is a fact I didn't know until reading these passages. I didn't realize Wraithbone had that capability, or that's why the Craftworld Eldar were mainly spared. So it's got this, the Craftworlds have this psychic protection around them, which kind of makes sense when you think about it, especially considering, sure, they do use warp port, or what are they called?
Webway portals.
Webway portals. Still, it makes sense that they have some kind of warp protection. So, Iyanden was kind of the biggest and most populous one to survive the coming of She Who Thirsts. I thought that was really cool, and they were very haughty about it too. All the other Eldar kind of learned their lesson, kind of from She Who Thirsts, and were properly cowed by the experience. But the Iyanden, they were kind of the light in the darkness. They were the holders of the flame of Azuren, and they were the ones who always had that hope that the Eldar would rise again, and they were bound and determined to make that happen, regardless of kind of what happened, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I've read a bit of stuff about Eldar, but as I was reading this codex, I just kept thinking, these guys are a bunch of dicks. Every sort of lesson that they should have taken from, the fall of the Eldar, they just kind of looked and went, whatever. These are just guidelines. These are not whatever.
Yeah, they're the hubris Eldar.
Yeah.
Yes, the Eldar and pretty much the entirety of Warhammer 40,000 is just awash in hubris-led decisions that ended terribly, but I think the Iyanden really, really signify that I mean, sure, they're brave, and sure, they are determined, and in a way, some of that is very much something to be appreciated in some ways, but in other ways, it is folly, really. Their relationship with the Bieltan kind of like solidifies this, because if anybody's the great big swinging jerk of the Eldar race, it's the Bieltan, right?
Yeah.
Like, those guys are real jerks. Like, they are so racist. They're space Hitler. They're Eldar space Hitler, running around killing people. Like, oh, there's a human infestation on our planet, let's kill them all. I mean, sure, the humans do the same thing, but whew, yeah, the Iyanden got very little support from the other craft worlds in their kind of their crusade against chaos, which they vowed. You know, they basically sold their futures to that cause.
I find it kind of interesting that the Bieltan decided to break with them. You know, it's like, you guys are such jerks that we're not going to hang with you. That's
yeah, right. Like,
yeah,
the Bieltan are cool. Like, we did an episode on them. You know, they believe that the Maiden Worlds in the future, the Maiden Worlds need to be cleansed of all alien races, and the Exodites are the ones who ought to kind of restart the Eldar race.
Yeah.
Because of some weird purity thing. Again, space Nazis. And the Bieltan don't care who they kill, really. Where the Iyanden in their, you know, we'll give them this. At least the Iyanden kind of feel bad about it. They actually, in a lot of ways, just more feel sorry for humanity because of their backwardsness.
Yeah.
And they are focused. They're laser focused on chaos. They don't worry so much about other races. They'll fight other races if they're threatened, but really it's Slanesh who threatens their immortal souls. So when the Iyanden refused to fight alongside the Bieltan to cleanse these Maiden Worlds, because again they felt they had bigger fish to fry, the Bieltan resented that and decided, you know what? No, we're not going to be friends anymore.
You're not the right type of space Nazi for us.
Yeah. But I guess in a way, Iyanden a little bit regretted that, because they became kind of threatened by another human threat. Now, clearly, it turned out to be a chaos threat, which makes which I guess they were correct in that manner. I don't know where this is from, because I read it elsewhere, but it's the story of the Dark Angel Zehemon. Was that in the Codex?
That's in the Codex.
That's in the Codex?
Oh, yeah.
So there's this big whole story about the Dark Angel Zehemon. Do you wanna talk about that little story, Jason?
Well, yeah. Let's see if I can remember. It was basically a fallen Dark Angel who had was basically just causing problems and issues and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
And let me see. Actually, your notes are a lot better than what I remember, because it's been a while since I've read it.
All right, cool.
I'll let you go ahead and finish up.
Okay. So yeah, like, they saw that this kind of anarchy being spread by Zehemon and his followers, and the interesting thing about it was this was the first time that the Spirit Seers decided to call forth the Ghost Warriors to fight alongside them. The Ghost Warriors being the constructs that are the Wraith constructs piloted by the Eldar Dead. And the citizens of Iyanden were a little bit pissed about this, because doing that was supposed to be more of a last resort.
Right.
And the Spirit Seers framed it as, well, it is a last resort. on a large scale. It's not like we're all going to die tomorrow, but we're all definitely going to die, and we're going to lose all this ground that we've made over the past few thousand years, cleansing the region of chaos. This will undermine all of that and bring us back to square one. And they decided, you know what? Yes, you're right. Let's do this. Everybody agreed, and bringing the wraith constructs and the ghost warriors to bear against the chaos forces proved to be the right call. They pushed them back and put them in a hammer and anvil situation between the Eldar and the Dark Angels. I thought it was really cool when they actually argued over who got to keep the captured traitor.
Oh yeah, that's great.
But
yeah,
when the Iyanden Farseers foresaw that Zeheman would suffer much greater at the hands of the Dark Angels than themselves, they decided to give them over.
Yeah, that's pretty incredible. I don't know if
These
you've read
guys are jerks.
I don't know if you've read any of the stories about Dark Angels and the request for the Fallen, but some of those, like, they torture them, but then they keep them alive for an incredibly long period, and then torture them some more. It's just kind of like, oh, we're going to let you heal long enough to, keep beating you later.
Yeah, I mean, when you have a lifespan of hundreds of years, you can kind of afford to make that go for as long as you kind of feel like.
Yeah, there's a couple of There's a couple of short stories about the chaplain interrogators for the Dark Angels that kind of talk about this, kind of explore how they search for the Fallen and whatnot. It's I cannot remember any of them off the top of my head, but there's a story about Asmodai, and I'm trying to remember what the name of the other chaplain interrogator is from the Angels that is such a kind of horrible human being. But yeah, actually one thing that is interesting is that they worked with the Space Marines, because that doesn't happen a whole lot with Eldar and Space Marines.
No.
If you're a big Dawn of War fan, it happens with the Blood Ravens. But,
well, when you're talking about chaos, right? The chaos is like they kind of broke ranks from the Biel-Tan because of their dogged pursuit of chaos. They broke with tradition and brought forth the use of the Ghost Warriors because of their commitment to destroying chaos. And on the same coin, I'm not sure that metaphor works, but whatever. The Dark Angels are absolutely devoted to their tracking down chaos and capturing all of the Fallen above anything else. Even I would argue, some would argue, their commitment to the Imperium as a whole. So, I think those two things coming together is the excuse for these two sides to work together.
Yeah, I could see that easily. I mean, that's what they're both after, is taking down chaos. And, well, the Dark Angels have a special brand of chaos that they go after, but yeah.
Now, because of their success here, they were joined by Idare and Malantai. Those two Craftworlds joined forces with them. Malantai was this big fortress. They had basically turned their Craftworld into a fortress, and Iyadhe was well known for their great splendor and had not really been touched by the ravages of the Dark Millennium. So all those three Craftworlds together became almost kind of unstoppable. They killed Tyranids, they killed Chaos, they killed all kinds of people.
Yeah.
Then we have, during that time, we have the rise of Prince Uriel. And his story kind of starts during this fight against High Fleet Naga.
Yeah, he not a pleasant individual. I realize it's grimdark. There are no heroes. There are no good guys. But damn. But he was instrumental in fighting against Hive Fleet Naga, and he also went after a former Raven Guard, like a Space Marine, a pirate king called Argon Calarax.
I love the idea of a Space Marine pirate king.
Yeah, I think that's actually really a cool idea, which I think is kind of like what Huron Blackheart is supposed to be.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah, which is really, intriguing.
It should. I mean, it should be a common trope in 40K, considering how much space travel there is and how important it is. You can win a war in orbit if you try hard enough, and you don't even have to commit really.
Yeah,
ground forces if you're smart. So
yeah, you can just keep dropping rocks on them until they say okay, fine. Actually, there's a Robert Heinlein book called "The Moon is a Harsh Mistress" that kind of touches on that, but it's not 40K, so sorry. Let's see. So the Eldar went through and did a lot of hit and fade warfare. And they divided the Calarax's forces and destroyed them, and let them be distracted by plunder because pirates love plunder.
Yeah, they'd basically allow the poor humans to be attacked and killed, and then while Calarax's forces fed off the dead crew and their supplies, Uriel would come in with his fleet and destroy pieces of the fleet, with almost no losses for his own not corsairs, but his own vessels. I thought that was really cool.
And this next thing, so his sorcerers were looking for. Well, he was looking for the Craftworld, of course.
Yeah. And
so he assigned his sorcerers to go find them. So basically, what was it? There was a lot of sacrifices until they could contact a Slaaneshi demon. Because that's, I guess, the new way. I mean, is that a collect call now?
Well, he was really upset. The
sorcerers
failed to find the craft world, but he's like, you know what? I'll just kill you guys and sacrifice a bunch of other guys. I'm sure we'll get the attention of some demon or another. Yeah, and a Slaaneshi demon basically he showed up and was like, yeah, just give me all these soul stones and we'll call it even. And Calarax is like, really? Because I have no use for soul stones, so sure. You can
tell that this guy is Raven Guard, not a Blood Raven.
Shiny. String. The only thing I like better than string is shinies. Shiny things. Sparklies. All right.
Okay.
I would like a sparkly of my very own. Yes. Yeah. So Uriel beats Calarax in a duel, but it's a really cool scene they describe with the Wraith Knights jumping from one ship to the other using their jump packs, crashing through the hull of the Chaos ships and doing battle inside the cavernous halls and all that stuff. Seems pretty cool. Uriel barely kills Calarax. Calarax is quick, and he's kind of goading Uriel into making mistakes because Uriel is kind of hot-headed for an Eldar autarch. But he does kill him, and then they find that some of the Chaos vessels have broken away and are heading for Iyanden.
Just 3 of them, actually.
Just 3. And Uriel knows better than to assume that the Chaos forces think they can destroy a ship, or a craft world with just 3 ships. He knows there's something going on there. So he jumps in his ship, which is called the Fire of Assyrian, I think it's called.
Yeah, that was it.
And he jumps in, and they destroy all 3 vessels, but 36 cyclonic torpedoes are launched before he can do that. and one makes it through the Craftworld's defenses and does some serious damage. Thousands die.
Yeah, that was an interesting part of the codex to read, because I wasn't really familiar with Iyanden before I started reading the codex, and that was just kind of very visual short story or description.
Yeah, he's very upset about it, and Iyanden really never bounces back from that. They kind of do. They're in much better shape than they are now, but the people are very upset about it. And from my eyes, I've seen what a cyclonic torpedo can do. And the fact that the craft world is even around to talk about it,
yeah,
from my perspective, that's pretty good.
You know? That's impressive. It's still there. Yeah.
It's still there. It's like not even like it was major damage, but it's not like half the thing got destroyed. It's still moving around and doing stuff. It just needs to be fixed. So I thought that was pretty impressive. It gives you an idea of the vastness of these craft worlds. They are unbelievably big. Really, really big.
And one interesting thing was the fire of creation that was in the Assyrian shrine went out, which had never gone out. That was like the first time, so it was it had been lit like just before
the craft world's like first maiden voyage, and it had never been burned out since. That was very sad. Everybody was like really pissed off at Uriel, and Uriel went into voluntary exile
because that's where he needed to go.
Because that works out really well for everyone. Speaking of that, High Fleet Kraken.
Just when you couldn't be any farther down, we'll go ahead and kick you again.
So Eldrad comes over and he's like, I brought my bone singers to help you fix your giant spaceship world, which was nice of him. But he said that he's not really here to do that. He's here to warn them. And of course, these fantastic hubris monsters, the Iyanden and Eldar, like, we're not taking your advice. You're just jealous that we're so awesome.
Yeah, that's pretty much. That could have been probably almost word for word from the discussion.
Sometimes Eldar are more childish than Space Marines, for gosh sake.
Yeah. Well, I was amazed that Eldrad showed up. You know, he's from Oathway, if I remember correctly. And
care? Everybody had heard about what happened to Iyanden, and he's like, I'm not in it for the politics. I'm not in it for superiority over others. I'm in this for the survival of the Eldar race. And they're like,
whatever.
Yeah, whatever, bro. Whatever, bro. We're just gonna keep on circling the eastern fringe, and we're not gonna go west like you tell us to. Yeah. And he's not pissed off, right? Eldrad is just sad. He's not mad. He's just disappointed in you. So he pulls the grandma card.
Yeah, there we go. Here's the grandma card.
Pulls out the guilt.
Why haven't you called me
I'm not
lately?
mad. I'm just disappointed, Bubby. Yeah. So that's a problem. And yes, when so Kelman, who is kind of in charge of, he's like the seer who's kind of in charge of a lot of the operations of Iyanden at the time. He's kind of the major domo that they go to for advice, and he calls a lot of shots. He's casting stones about Uriel, and even though he's already gone into exile, his fates haven't changed at all, which is interesting. He thought for sure that Uriel's fates would change because he figured the whole business with Calarax was what the runes he was casting were talking about, but apparently there was something else, and that something else starts to cloud his vision in his rune casting, and that's when he realizes, oh snap, this is the same thing I felt when we fought Hive Fleet Naga, except way more powerful.
Yeah,
and
they
it
go into
is-
this a little bit in the codex, and it's they really do kind of try and push how big Kraken is, or not Kraken, but how big Kraken will be.
Yeah, it's unreal, and it is too late to flee them because craft worlds really don't move through the warp. They jump from, they kind of jump from portal to portal. So they're basically running west as fast as they can under regular engines, and the Hive fleet chases them. To his credit, the more conservative Admiral Ithrael does try a few cunning things, like he explodes an unstable star behind them and destroying thousands of Hive ships and stuff like that. But it's really not helping. The Hive fleet is catching up to them. And of course, they have to sit and squabble over the right course of action, whether they want to turn around and do a full frontal attack or try to use psychic powers to mask the vessel, maybe behind some star or in some kind of nebula or something, and use psychic powers to mask their presence.
And it sounded like when I was reading that they had like picket ships that were out, kind of checking the perimeters, and those ships knew what was coming, but they couldn't they couldn't actually impress upon the, I guess, council or whatever of how bad things were going to be.
Yeah, Ithrael had picket ships out there, but they were too close to the craft world. They weren't ranging as far as they would had they been under Uriel. Uriel would send ships out very far. But fortunately, there was a ranger. There's always rangers out there, right? The Path of the Outcast, I think it's called.
Yeah. My favorite book in that series.
I think it's a lot of people's favorites.
Yeah.
Well, one specific one named Irilith, she comes and really describes the breadth and depth of what's happening and what they should expect to see. And she's able to turn the tide in the negotiation chambers and get them to agree to send for help. And just as kind of the shadow overtakes them, what's his name? Kelman sends a message to Uriel. Meanwhile, the place pretty much gets eaten, right? Like the whole place gets eaten. Every single Eldar switched aspect, so they either became warlocks, guardians, or aspect warriors. Everyone on the craft world became a warrior, and all of the ghost warriors were used. Now
there should be a montage right here,
right? Yeah, we need a montage when
Yeah.
you're trying to get stuff done, and there's not enough time. You a montage. And the main thing here is before. Like everyone's like, yeah, we're definitely gonna use the Ghost Warriors. Duh, that's what's gonna happen. And Kelman's like, no, you don't understand. We're using all of the spirits, even the ones that don't want to fight. And that was really something that is just beyond what had been done in the past. He reached in and bound every single spirit in their infinity circuit to a wraith body, and they fought to protect their craft world.
Yeah, this as I'm rereading these notes, I just keep thinking, what could go wrong?
Yeah, and even with all that help, a huge percentage of the Craftworld is overtaken by the time Uriel shows up. But when Uriel does show up, he's got a bunch of dudes with him, including like a bunch of other pirates. I guess it was I can't remember who it was when I read it, but there were either the Chaos forces or the Imperial forces were hoping to kind of use other pirate groups against Uriel, where he was raiding. And instead, he just kind of took them under his banner and took over all of the piracy in that region. So he had like a few hundred ships come in and just burn down most of the Hive fleet. They weren't expecting it. They came swooping in, myrtleizing all the like living ships outside. And he kind of he lost like 100 ships, but he kind of decisively won the space battle.
Yeah.
Now, I thought this was interesting. They're talking about like they actually discuss during these stories about how any of the Eldar who were immolated by the Exterminatus in the previous war, and all the Eldar that die on the ships from like just the ship being destroyed, like those souls are lost. They go to Slaanesh because they aren't stored in the Spirit Stone.
Yeah.
Which I thought was sad and interesting. Like if I were an Eldar, I would much rather be like a close combat guy or like a regular guardian than work on a starship because hey, if I get stabbed by a sword, great. I get to hang out in the Infinity Circuit for eternity instead of.
But if my ship blows up,
she who thirsts eats my soul. Yeah, it's brutal. So Uriel with his Eldritch Raiders, as they're called, land on the ship. They come to find out that they had actually released the Avatar of Cain, and the Avatar of Cain was eaten by 5 Carnifexes.
Because that happens.
Like he called out, he's like he called out the Hive Tyrant for a duel. Hive Tyrant's like, you know what? No, bro, you eat these. Have some Carnifexes instead.
That's definitely I'm going to ignore the challenge and let the rest of my crew take care of it.
Yeah, let's ignore this challenge because I'm a freaking Tyranid and I have no sense of honor.
Wow.
Yeah, he's torn to pieces, but Uriel actually manages. He runs down to a special chamber in the Craftworld and grabs an artifact called the Spear of Twilight, which is a classic artifact level item. If anybody who plays D&D or I guess any kind of Cthulhu Mythos thing, you know that picking up an artifact is generally a bad idea. Anyways, he runs up, killing dudes, and he stabs the Hive Tyrant through the face. Like, he stabs him in the mouth, and it goes out the back of its head, and it dies. And all the Wraith constructs run up and kill all the Tyranids. Yay.
Well, I mean, you pick up artifacts, there's going to be... It's a bad idea, typically, but hey, look, you get all these other cool things you get to do, like not sleep, or not eat, or, walk through walls, or whatever.
Yeah, well, here's the Uriel doesn't need to eat or sleep, because he is both sustained and consumed by the Spear of Twilight. How delightful.
That sounds fun. That sounds like all of the fun.
Yeah, it's feasting on his life force. So I guess Uriel is going to find out what it's like for an Eldar to die of old age, unless he dies before then.
Ooh, I hadn't thought about that. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
That's weird. There's this whole section on them fighting Wreckfist, which I think is the same battle we discussed a while back with the Dark Eldar, where actually the Dark Eldar actually assisted them in fighting against this Wog. I thought that's a really cool story. So if you remember, Wreckfist was the war where the Dark Eldar actually came to the aid of the Iyanden. And if you remember, it was the Wraithkind Cabal and the Cult of the Flayed Hand and they came to their aid because, at least this is the way we kind of assumed it at the time, even though they, Eldar and Dark Eldar are the same species, and they're like, no one messes with my little brother but me, like one of those kind of things. But also because they find it amusing for these Eldar to be so tortured by events beyond their control and due to their own hubris that this stuff keeps happening to them. And it's probably delicious. Even though they're helping them, it's probably delicious for them to experience this kind of horror beside their Eldar companions or their Eldar cousins. I thought that was really funny. Anyways, so that's kind of in a nutshell Iyanden. There's a lot more to it. There's so much. Like we'd have to read the whole codex out loud to you, and that's not going to happen.
No, we don't have that many days.
But this is episode 3 of the Big Stompy Robots series, and I want to talk about specifically the Wraithbone constructs, and how that kind of happens. Do you want to kind of lead us into what Wraithbone is and what it does?
All right, so Wraithbone is a psychoplastic substance, which is solidified warp energy, and it's manipulated by a bone singer, a psychic craftsperson. Yeah. More flexible and resilient than adamantium. It can repair itself, which I find fascinating.
It's like a living thing almost.
Yeah, and the thing is that if you use bone singers, that just speeds up the process, makes it heal and repair much quicker. Also, it generates a psychic shield, which protects the craft world from Slaanesha's psychic scream, which I thought that was all really interesting because I've read a few short stories where they've talked about bone singers and whatnot. I think it goes into it a little bit in the whole Path of the Eldar series from Gav Thorpe.
It would be interesting to see them on the tabletop. I would assume at some point they had been on some kind of unit before. Yeah. I would hate for it to show up again because I can't imagine a Eldar force where the Wraith Knights get to heal during combat.
Yeah, because
that would suck so hard.
Yeah, I mean they're already a very powerful codex, and
I think there's a Spirit Seer power that heals like one wound.
That sounds vaguely
you have
familiar.
to roll for it. Yeah, you have to roll for it and get it out of 6 different powers. But having an actual bone singer model would suck so much.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that would not be pleasant.
I think someone could just do it.
I would look at it and go, all right, everything on that jerk, he died.
Yeah, nuke him.
Yeah, everything. It's like, oh, I've got a Venator here. Well, we'll see how long this guy lasts. It's gonna be lovely. Look out, sir, all you want. I don't care.
As a live Wraithbone it's not enough to make it ambulatory and make it actually it work. You need some kind of spirit to guide it. And that's where the spirit stones come into play. Spirit stones are basically these little crystals where the soul of the Eldar is trapped before it can be absorbed by She Who Thirsts. And so usually those stones are taken back to the craft world and plugged into the Infinity Circuit, and they go into... the souls are free to frolic where whatever goes on in the Infinity Circuit stays in the Infinity Circuit. But in times of great need, a stone is plugged into the Infinity Circuit, and certain rituals or certain psychic abilities, the Spirit Seers pull out a soul that is willing or not willing, if you're the Iyanden, and they plug that soul into a Wraithbone construct, or in some of their cases, multiple souls into a Wraithbone construct.
So one thing about the Spirit Soul, or the Soul Stones, that I found interesting, the first time I'd read about them, they're used almost as currency among chaos at times. There's a short story in the book Treacheries of the Space Marines. It's the first story, I think. And there's actually kind of a contest for who can get these spirit stones, like who's the most dangerous Chaos Warband. And that is the award. I don't know. It was because it was a Chaos Warband, a group of Chaos Warbands being together. What happens? Fighting. So, but the happy ending of the story is that the Thousand Sun Sorcerer got away with it. So that made me cry a little bit. All right.
Yeah, so we have several kinds of Wraith constructs. The two kind of foot soldiers are the Wraith Guard and the Wraith Blades, and they all have like one soul bound to them. One individual warrior binds these Wraith Guard and Wraith Blades. The Wraith Guard they're really high toughness. They're really hard to hit, like regular small arms. Has a hard time cracking through even these low-level foot soldiers. They have a gun called the Wraith Cannon, which basically opens a rift in the warp, which is horrible.
Yeah.
And the Wraith Blades wield ghost swords and ghost axes, which are actually slightly higher strength capabilities than the standard power sword and power axe. For both of those units, they don't have morale issues. They don't fear for their soul or their life. They just march forward.
And they're fearless as well, which makes them a little bit more difficult.
They kill without remorse and without thought, which is interesting. It shows you that kind of the link between the original Eldar soul and the body of this wraith, this construct, isn't the same as what it was before. Like these Eldar are changed by the experience of death. On the same vein, you have the Hemlock Wraith Fighter, where the co-pilot is a spirit, which is really cool as well.
Yeah.
The Spirit Seer, there's a Spirit Seer kind of pilot, and they kind of work together, and they have really good ballistic skill. Like, they're really good together, and they're casting spells.
Do they have this Brotherhood of Psychers rule, or do you know?
They are a Psyker.
Oh boy, that's what you want.
That's pretty great, right?
A Psyker flyer. All right, Psyker, flyer, that's going to be... Yay. Then we have... go ahead. Oh, okay. Then we have the Wraith Lord, which is, it's T8, and he's kind of huge. He's kind of a big guy.
He is so big, and I love the look of him. He's got that big swooping head, and he's got the big, like, ghost glaive sword if he wants it. This is where they start, like, mounting guns on their shoulders.
Yeah. Well, at that point, that's, they've got the space for them.
Mm-hmm. They're even tougher than Wraithguard. I remember playing against one of these when I first started. I assaulted it with my orcs, and I'm like, all right, toughness. He's like 8. I'm like, is that even a number? Like, is that a number you can use for toughness?
You're just tickling him at that point.
Yeah.
Well, then after that, we have this is something I found really, really interesting, a Wraith Seer. So there's a warlock that's bound to a Wraith Lord body, and you can only... This unit comes out of the Doom of Mimera, which is Imperial Armor 11, and they're very rare. Like, they can only be found on abandoned craft worlds, is what I read.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't get to see these guys on the table very often, or you shouldn't be seeing them on the table very often, but whatever.
Yeah, like they've forgotten how to, like, bind the warlocks to the Wraith Lord body. But I'm
okay with that. I'm all right with that. I'm good.
And the model is a little out of date. It's based off of the old Wraith Lord model, which it has a much fatter head, which is fine. But it isn't one of the prettiest Forge World models that there are.
I don't think I've seen that model. I'll have to go look at it.
Yeah, I had a buddy who used to run one. The same guy with the Wraith Knight army.
Yeah.
Back in the day. It was like one of the footdar things. It was part of the whole footdar like anchor for that army. Sometimes, depending on the list. And of course, then we have Wraith Knights. Wraith Knights are cool. They have twin pilots capable of communicating with the living and the dead. So a Wraith Knight doesn't really need a Spirit Seer, Warlock, or whatever they're calling themselves. You can actually communicate with a Wraith Knight, and that Wraith Knight can communicate with the other spirit warriors, which is really cool. It's not just more than it's not just a more durable Wraith Lord. It carries all kinds of cool weaponry, and it can even stand toe to toe with things like things like Imperial Knights.
Yes, they can. Yes, they can. Yeah,
they do a good job with that.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
But they hold an important place in the army, and I like that how GW kind of, if they add a unit to the army, they do what they can to make it interesting. The fact that it has this ability to be kind of a general of the other Wraith constructs is pretty cool.
Yep. There's also, I was looking through the Doom of My Mira book before I got on here, and there's actually another Wraith Knight. Whatever it's called, not subdivision, but model.
It's like for the Corsairs, right?
Yeah. I didn't go through and read its stats, but I saw, oh, look, another Wraith Knight. Yay!
I think it can flicker jump like the...
oh, God, yeah, it does. It's one.
It's a warp spider Wraith Knight. Which seems very amusing to me.
Yeah, sure. We'll use the word amusing. Why not? Anyway, then that brings us on to the Titans.
As broken as Eldar are,
yeah,
they're nowhere near as broken as they are in Battlefleet Gothic.
Oh, yeah, I've heard stories.
It is unreal how broken they are in Battlefleet Gothic. I just wanted to tell you that.
Yeah, because you used to play Battlefleet Gothic.
Yeah, well, you know what? It helps that it probably doesn't help that I played Orcs. I assume, I guess, that sometimes Chaos can shoot them with 60-centimeter lances. I would just chase these Eldar around the table, and they would jump in, shoot me, run away, and I would never be in range with any of my weapons. If I did, it was a fluke, and it wouldn't hit because Eldar.
Well, I recently re-listened to the Independent Characters episode on Battlefleet Gothic, which was somewhere in the 80s, I think, one of their 80 episodes. And they mentioned that the Eldar were... They didn't say overpowered. They said they were incredibly strong, I think.
They're nice like that, though.
Yeah.
Independent characters are nice people with good intentions. And that's fine. They can omit words like broken from their vocabulary if they want. But Eldar and Battlefleet Gothic are freaking busted. Anyways, you were talking about Titans.
Oh, yeah. So, because, as you might have mentioned, Wraith Knights can go toe-to-toe with a Imperial Knight. Well, they've got Titans as well. And both of these show up in the Doom of My Mira book as well. So you've got the Revenant Titan, which is typically a forward scout for Titan groups because there are Titan groups for Eldar. Mm-hmm. Yay. They provide fire support. And, of course, because they're Eldar, they're agile. And unbelievably maneuverable.
Oh yeah, they're really, really fast compared to other Titans and maneuverable.
Oh, I have not really looked at the stats very closely.
I'm not sure about the stats, but according to the fluff, the narrative behind the rules, these guys run circles around regular Titans.
I'm going to be honest; it doesn't surprise me if they would do. I mean, that's just where they are right now.
Right.
But they typically have a single steersman melded with the Titan spirit, but they also have twins will often pilot a pair of revenants, so you can have two that work together, and I'm assuming they might be psychically bound anyway, because one...
Buy two Revenant Titans, buy two Revenant Titans. Don't buy just one.
Adam, don't do it. Don't. No. Bad, Adam. Bad.
Oh, yeah, so... Yeah, once you start getting up to Titans. There are multiple spirits inside these Titans, and the Titans are built so that they can travel from limb to limb, running around the construct doing stuff. So I thought that was a really interesting thing. Like they all inhabit this Wraithbone construct, and they are kind of physically there because they travel around in it, which I thought was interesting. I'm imagining one of the pilots sitting there, the steersman, and the spirit kind of showing up saying, "Hey, yeah, we got a problem with the ankle. I'll take care of that. Be right back." You know?
Yeah. Well, then our last Titan is the Phantom Titan. And it's supposed to have incredible speed and agility, and is sometimes crewed by twins and triplets as steersmen that are assisted by these bound spirits. And it's used for pitch battles, which you would expect with Titans, rather than typical raids.
Yeah, I don't think you could really use this for a raid.
Yeah, that would be a bad idea.
Yeah, I'm not sure it is the Brute Squad, right?
Yeah. If you have picked up White Dwarf 1, the newest of the reissues or reboot of the magazine, there's a beautiful, beautiful Eldar army that has a Phantom Titan in it.
It's so awesome.
Yeah. Like, I looked at the picture and I was like, I have no idea what that model is. I have no clue. So I had to search and kind of figure out what I was looking at.
I mean, it is those Beal-Tan jerks.
Yeah.
But it's so beautiful.
Yeah. If you go to pick up this magazine, I'm going to quote Adam here, do not look at the Eldar while you're in the store, because you'll buy Eldar. And you'll buy a lot of Eldar.
You will. It's not good.
So take the book home and then open it up.
Unplug your internet.
Yeah. Hide your wallet, put it in a safe, somewhere you can find it.
Give it to your wife.
Yeah, because it's...
Give it to someone who can beat you in a fight, which in my case is my wife. Okay, well, this episode's getting long. We're going to have an interview with...
The Renegade Open.
The guys who are doing the Renegade Open. We love supporting our communities, so we'll have that, and then we'll come back and close out the show.
Yay!
This is David Annandale, and you're listening to Masters of the Forge, where they bring the world of Warhammer 40,000 to life on your tabletop.
Do you play more than one mini war game? Or do you like listening to shows which discuss other games and pan hobby topics? Combat Phase is a weekly podcast covering the whole hobby for gamers. We also interview a lot of Black Library authors. Join Kenny and Robert as they try to grow the hobby. Combat Phase, the best part of the game, is on iTunes and www.combatphase.com. In the Lincoln, UK area and looking for a game club? Head down to Gobsticks. We are a long-established game club that meets every Thursday from 6 to 10. Fancy staking your claim to the Xanatos system and discovering ancient Mechanicus tech in our 40k narrative campaign? Or taking your Blood Bowl team to glory in the Gob Stick-Up? We play 40k fantasy, Blood Bowl, War Machine, Hordes, Malifaux, a wide variety of role-playing games and more. For more information, including how to find us and to speak to our members, head over to Facebook and search for Gobsticks, GOBSTYKS, or head to gobsticks.co.uk.
NGC 40K, where the story meets the table.
Join the hosts at Pete's Bar as they explore the craft behind the models, the story behind the scenarios, and the camaraderie behind the game.
Listen to the podcast and join in the discussion at ngc40k.com.
Welcome back. So we've switched things up a little bit here. We're going to be doing a interview with Puck. Hi, Puck.
Hi, guys. How's it going?
And David.
Hello.
Hola. And we still have Jason here. Hi, Jason.
Hey, y'all.
So we were contacted a couple weeks ago, and by a couple, I mean a lot of weeks ago, because I keep on forgetting. I still have to touch base with the fella that did the London GT. He wants to do a follow-up, which I think would be an interesting topic. I just keep on forgetting. So thanks for being persistent, Puck, because I need to be reminded of things because I am doing everything.
Not a problem.
All
Since
the
it is
things.
episode 69, I'd be happy to keep poking.
Yeah, See, you know what? You get to be involved in childish behavior because you were able to get me on just the right week.
I am an expert at childish behavior.
Absolutely, you are. And Adam, are you saying that you need reminders from both ends?
I think what's really important is that there are multiple vectors of these reminders. Clearly,
so what you're saying is we got to make it airtight.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
I'm saying,
make it sure.
I'm saying,
oh baby.
So
innuendo is fine. Keep running with it.
So guys, you're here to talk about the as we do, we like to support local communities. Some folks probably wonder, well, why are you promoting an event like this? It's like, well, because events like this, events like tournaments help foster community, and I think without events like this, the community begins to get insular, and when a community is insular, it doesn't grow because you don't meet people, you don't interact with people, people don't have a reason to start the hobby without community, unless you're talking about, that poor guy sitting in his basement all by himself.
So what you're saying is it's less stimulating by yourself than it is with several partners.
That's right. You got it. See, this is good. I'm glad we're on the same page here. So the event we're going to be discussing today is the Renegade GT. Now I know the Renegade GT has been around for a bit of a while, hasn't it?
4 years now. It's our 4th year.
Nice. Well done. So I kind of want to talk about, before we get into the provisos and quid pro quos, what's the atmosphere of the event? Like, what are you going for with your event?
Okay, so first of all, when we started 4 years ago, we wanted to run a GT here in Minnesota. We didn't have a lot. We had another one that just started, and I had an idea for a GT, but it never went anywhere. And then I was contacted by other people who also want to run a GT, and then that idea stuck. And we come up with the idea of the Renegade Open. And our first year, we had like 71 players in a bar restaurant. The place was packed. We threw together an X-Wing event at the last moment, still had about 11 players for that. And so we were really enjoying a gaming event that we started, and we decided as we were growing, we were going to add more and more events. So now here we are on our 4th year. We're at the Fantasy Flight Game Center in Roseville, Minnesota, which by itself is an amazing venue. You've got a huge space just for regular gaming. There's food available, there's alcohol, soda, etc. And then attached to it is another room that's just as big as its gaming space. And now you can have events there. So now in our 4th year, we have 40K, of course, which is our main draw. And we have 76 players for that, and we're sold out. Mm-hmm. We have, on day one, we'll have Armada, we will have X-Wing, and we'll have Malifaux. And we're also thinking Kill Team, because we got some extra space that we want to try and fill. And then the next day it's 40K, and then it's War Machine. And then on Sunday is the end of our 40K event. And then we also have Infinity going on side by side, and that's sold out. So what we're trying to do is have an event with multiple game systems and try and draw people here to Minnesota so we can experience it and, as you say, meet more people. Our ultimate goal, of course, is, we'd like to be the equivalent of a Adepticon. I don't want to say, rival it, because Adepticon is Adepticon, and there's no rivaling that piece.
Yeah.
But we want something that's kind of a bookend, because we're in November and they're a couple months later.
Mm-hmm.
Somewhere where maybe you can try out those lists that you want to try out, or just be an exciting event that people want to attend every year.
That's cool. Yeah, that's a great goal. You guys already have pretty great player base. I'm personally for the Golden Sprue Cup. I'm a little worried. I want people to show up. And any advice that you guys can provide on like promoting and stuff like that, I'd be all ears, because we're doing forums, we're doing podcasts. I'm not sure what more can be done, really.
Facebook groups, email. Yeah. You gotta hound these people, because there's 3 times in the world. There's early, there's on time, and then there's gamer time.
Yeah, right.
I mean, I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry, brothers and sisters, all of my friends who love the nerds, who are nerds and love all that, but dagnabbit, we are cruddy at keeping time.
No, yeah.
Oh, no. 5 more minutes. 5 more minutes, I swear. 3 hours later. Oh, Jesus, where did it go? World of Warcraft, why?
Yeah, absolutely. I hear you. I'm trying to get people to pre-reg for this thing, and it's like I know people are going to come. It's just I want those numbers early, and people are just like, I have months. It's like, ugh.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We ran into that. We ran into that all the time, though, whenever I was still living in New York. I mean, there were times 8 people would not pre-reg, and then the day of, they'd register.
Yeah.
Just, that was nuts.
I need to build terrain.
Yeah.
I need money.
Well, last year, we had a bunch of people would sign up towards the, like a month or 2 out, and give us all heart attacks. And I think we had like 56 players.
Uh-huh.
But this year we decided, we're going to go full ITC for our event. And we sold out in a week.
Nice.
And then we're like, that was 64 players. And we looked at our space, we can add more players. And so we added a bunch more. Now we're up to 76. And that sold out. And then we've got a waiting list of at least 3 players right now. So
nice.
He's being modest about how quick this happened. It was literally... We said we're using full ITC rules, but still our missions, which are different. We can talk about that later. But it's, we went from we have 20 slots to we had 6 to the next morning we had 2, and then suddenly we had 14 on a waiting list. And we were like, oh, Jesus, it's happened.
All right, let's re-examine our space. Can we fit these guys in? Yes. Okay, good. Hey, by the way, you're all in now. Awesome.
Yeah, so we had a really great response to that too. The moment we went to ITC, we had a great response. It like I keep telling those guys, thank you so much to the ITC folks over at Frontline Gaming for putting this together, because it really helps draw people to these events.
It really does. It is a fantastic set of tools that they've given us, not to mention the fact that it is literally the single largest community on the planet for 40K and soon to be for Age of Sigmar, right?
Yep.
I mean, and we're spread all over the planet. There's probably maybe like 250,000 of us playing this game. Right, all in our basements with our friends, or at the local store with our friends. But the ITC is the single largest community of players who can, by God knows how, Reese and Frankie got everybody to agree to this crap. But they got 4,000 people to agree to use the same rules. I do not know how they did it, but they did it.
Well, the competitive players, they want uniformity, they want rules, they want structure.
Yeah, we love structure. I will agree to that. So speaking of your format, it is actually very similar to how we roll. So constant listeners will be used to this. You guys are rolling at 1650, which is good. That's a great way to make sure those games go by pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And you have
first major GT to actually go down to 1650.
Nice. And you guys actually have you do use the ITC like list building with some minor adjustments, including allowing people to take more than 2 of a detachment. which is actually really good for some of the struggling armies out there.
Yeah, it really helps armies like Tyranids and Orcs and hell, even Sisters and Grey Knights who are like, we can kind of quite get there with one detachment, one special thing, but we're not there yet. We need help, right?
Yeah, being allowed to take 3 combined arms detachments is actually really helpful for armies like Orcs who live and die by their HQ slots. So that's really, 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 really nice. I like that a lot. Other than that, you basically are our ITC standard for as far as lists and stuff are concerned, right?
Yeah, with one notable exception that we do not allow an infinite number of Lords of War to be spent. You get 700 points towards your pool towards Lords of War, but that can only be spent on 1 super heavy or 1 gargantuan creature, and then any non-super heavy or gargantuan creature Lords of War like Calgar, etc., right? Ghazghkull, etc. Right. Or you're allowed to take 1 Imperial or Knight Renegade formation.
Right, that's cool. Yeah, that's kind of key. I mean, they're not too terribly unbalancing. Plus the fact that they're inexorably entrenched in our culture at this point. So there's nothing you can really do about the knights without leaving some people out. So that's invariably you'd have somebody show up on the day and be like, oh, I can't take my knight army. That's all I brought. So it's a good call. So yeah, and since you're using the ITC FAQ, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So the limit on Lords of War isn't that bad. It's not like the Nova where you don't get the Lords of War you need to kill Death Stars, and you're allowed to have super full no holds barred Death Stars. It's like, oh, well, okay then. So it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal to kind of limit those Lords of War to the 700 points under the ITC format. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it even lets Khorne take, a greater Brass Scorpion at 700 points.
Right.
And so it's like, okay, that's literally like the biggest, the baddest ass thing you can take. Except, for that new thing. I'm looking at you, Mastodon.
So it looks like your missions, again, you might as well. They're very much the ITC missions, but like us, you've decided let's switch up the Maelstrom a bit, because the rolling of the missions can be a little rough, right?
Yeah, it's something that we've noticed over the years with either rolling for them or having the deck, that Maelstrom just becomes too finicky at that point, becomes too fickle a mistress. To put a very stringent point on that, last year at Adepticon, so not 2016 but 2015, I played a game against Brad Townsend, who's also known as Hulk Smash, and Nick Nadavanti in the teams tournament, right? And my partner and I scored 48 points in the first 3 turns of the game because of the way Maelstrom cards were going for us at Adepticon. Right. And there was literally 0 chance for them to come back. 0. They couldn't have done it. That's an insurmountable amount of points to even think about coming back. So, that was the one that sealed the deal for me of, nope, decks are out, randomness is out. We want something that is static. And this was actually something that we came up with on our way back from that event, to use a static list, that it was more like pick 2, and then those are the ones that you're going to go for and then score at the beginning of your next turn, and then you'll pick 2 more again.
Yeah, it seems like a great way to do it. I'd be interested in at least giving these a try in my games, in the competitive games I play with my friends at the game store. It's really I don't see much of a change from the ITC as far as the list of missions, so folks should be used to those. The only difference is you get to pick them, right? And again, you may also pick the the 2 to get your 3 points as well, similar to the ITC.
Yeah, and those we added in this year, right?
Mm-hmm.
The options being push them back and slay them all. The push them back is the controlling objectives one where you choose 2 of your control either objectives, and then you have to sacrifice them. Now you can control any 3 objective markers of the Maelstrom objective markers. And if you do so by the beginning of your next turn, you score 3 points instead of the normal 2.
Yeah, the risk reward of that is really interesting and adds a whole nother metagame and layer to the missions, and I think that's really cool.
Yeah, and by the same token, slay them all is the same only for destroying units.
Yep, exactly. I think it's really cool. I played a game we don't really usually play with the missions from the ITC, and I was playing it the other day, and I was I actually chose poorly. I didn't manage to get the 3 units killed or whatever was necessary. So I thought that was really, really interesting way to do it. And I think it's superior to what they had before. That's for sure. Being able to pick your missions is great. So
I agree.
I really, really think do your players respond well to it?
They have, and they did so much so that last year we, for the first time, and we're continuing that this year, actually have extended that into our primary mission selection as well.
Mm-hmm.
So we actually have 4 primary missions for players to choose from, right? And you're given a token for each one, and those are endgame objectives, right? Kill points, assassination, where you pick 3 enemy units and you have to destroy them by the end of the game. And then a running tally one for table quarters, where you literally divide the table into 4 quarters, and those are your objective zones, and you have to have more units inside of each table quarter than your opponent to win it, and you do a running tally at the end of each turn to figure out who's going to win, right? The key here, however, is that not one person is picking which mission you're going to play. Each player picks the primary mission that they want their army to pursue. So that means not only are you going to be playing, something that's good for your army and potentially bad for your opponent, but they're going to do the same thing back to you, right? So if you have a heavy MSU army, I'm sorry, man, you're probably going to fight kill points all day, right? Or if you have a Death Star, you are going to fight objectives or table quarters all day long. That is literally all you're going to see. Right. Now, the caveat to that, though, is that you only get to use each one once per day.
Okay.
So there's 3 rounds, and then we do bracketing, where we split it up similar to Nova into 8-man brackets, and then that's kind of the reset point. And we give everybody their tokens back, and then they have 3 rounds again to play through, and we figure out who wins each bracket, and then prizes are handed out for those bracket winners. And so you will not use one of these missions, right? But that means you probably will get to play 2 missions that you're really good at. Either you're good at objectives or you're good at killing. And then you'll have to play one that you're not so good at. Which, kind of helps to differentiate the different player levels, right? And that's not to say, you suck, I'm great, haha. No, let's all be honest. We all have different experience levels that we play this game at, right? And it's much more fun when we play people who have similar experience levels to us, right? Because everybody likes tight games. Everybody wants games to be kind of close so that they can have more fun with it, right? And people who are similarly minded as them. And so if you're playing at the same skill level that, you're capable of, your games will be a lot closer. They'll be a lot more fun. Hopefully your opponent is a lot cooler, right? He's not just some guy there with the latest Death Star variant to go, you like my Cabal? Yeah, I've got a Cabal for you right here. So, it's kind of that give and take, and that's one of the reasons why we went to the pod mission setup. Tournament setup, and then why we went with these missions as well, just to kind of give everybody that chance to play to your strengths and hopefully defeat your enemy with those strengths, rather than going, oh man, I'm playing Gladius, this is the round with kill points, oh good, it's a Death Star, I lose.
Yeah, no, that's really great. That's one of the things that I like very much about events like the Nova and clearly your event, having those bracketed systems where where people just play like-minded players is really, really cool. I like that a lot.
I really do enjoy the token system for picking primary missions because it adds a whole new level of tactical thinking to it. You know, like, all right, I've used up this token. Oh crap, it's another similar army. Why did I wait? Why did I not keep it for this one instead? You have no idea what's going to come up next. So you really have to make sure, is this the right mission that I want in order to win? Yeah, okay, I think I can do this, you know.
You know, it didn't occur to me when I read this that the players are picking that primary mission. I thought it was just like, oh, you will see this mission, you know. Kind of read it. I kind of read it the wrong way. So I think that's really cool that you have folks choosing the missions they're playing and going with their strengths or choosing based on their opponent's weaknesses. I think that's great.
Yeah, you really gotta think on it.
Right, and it affects list build, which is kind of one of the important things that missions are supposed to do. Missions are supposed to affect list build and bring more balanced lists, and I think that helps.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've seen it over the years. I mean, everybody remembers how terrible 6th edition was for competitive play and how bad 5th edition was at the end just because of, how stagnant things had gotten. No, it actually had a lot more to do with how stagnant the game had gotten at that point and how cookie cutter everything was. So I did appreciate, good boy GW coming out with, no, we're going to make sure every army is very different in the way it plays. And I appreciated that. And I do like that they kept that trend going through 7th. It means that, no, when I play Blood Angels, I am playing Blood Angels. No, screw you. You're a Space Marine. You're basically Codex Astartes. You're an Ultramarine. I'm a Blood Angel. I am totally different. I have very different tactics and rules. Yep. And I like that. I like that a lot. It brings a lot more variety to the game. It also means that there's a lot more tactical flexibility in people's list building and panders to a lot more people's style of play, which is way better for people to get into. The only problem, though, is that you can't rule fiat anything into the ground to, quote-unquote, balance the game. It doesn't work. We've seen tournaments try to do it over the years, and it's never really worked out for them, right? Somebody always inevitably is flaming them on the internet all the time. Whereas with missions, it's a lot easier because you can just say, here you go, you bring whatever you're going to bring. These are the ways that you got to play it because not necessarily we're telling you exactly how to play it, but these are the missions that you have to try to adhere to and, beat the challenge of.
Yeah, your point is well taken. Preaching to the choir, clearly, with the narrative podcast and all. We are big fans of the 7th edition style of army, army design and all that. Everything feels very unique and I agree with you. It's so hard to comp things by army and to ban rules. It's lazy, first of all, and it's not very effective. Let's be honest. I'll be honest. I am still butthurt that the ITC banned the Death from the Skies in its entirety. I find that to be extremely heavy-handed and just against everything that we've been working for here with these, using these missions and stuff to balance the game. I think it's the right call, and I think it's a lot of fun to like test them and just play different missions and stuff as you kind of travel around the country and play.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that ban for the Death from the Skies for the ITC, though, came out of the player-based reaction for those that went to Nova and had very strong opinions about it.
Yeah. I
mean, I know there were armies there, like an Elysian drop troop army that had 17 Valkyries in it, or Vendettas in it. And and that was a team, right? A team had 17 Vendettas in it, or Valkyries rather, and then had Elysian drop troops inside of all of them. And let me
wipe off the drool there for 17 Vendettas from the Imperial Guard player here. What?
Right.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yes. So, but the problem for facing that right, was that it got all kinds of special rules for Death from the Sky, such as ignoring cover, re-rolling to hit, re-rolling to wound, armor penetration, vector dancer for vehicles that don't normally have it, things like that, right, that those formations in Death from the Sky would allow, which came as a very big, surprising blow to a lot of people. But not only that, because of the way Elysian drop troops work, if they went second and there was any kind of objective mission markers on the table, they would win. Because all of their stuff was OPSEC. Literally everything was OPSEC. That meant that that game was no fun. That was literally a no fun game as much as playing against a Death Star would be. Right? So I understand why the community reaction was to say no to Death from the Skies, but I do agree that I think just banhammering it out of a knee-jerk reaction is a bad idea. It'll probably come back. It's got to be given a chance by people to, really play into it and get used to it and figure out new strategies for their armies with it. Just like anything else when, like say Codex Frag Cannon came out, everybody was like, "Oh my God, frag cannons!" No, don't. No, it's okay. Yeah, tile supremacy suits, right? Or anything else like that, where it's like my initial gut reaction is, "Holy crap, that's broken OP! What the hell?" But in reality, it's like, no, it's like anything else in the game. You just have to learn how to either counter it or play around it.
Right. And,
That's
my response to that was kind of like, yeah, but at least you can kill some of the stuff in that army.
True.
At least you can kill some of it. Death Stars are a scourge on the competitive scene, and I cannot believe we still let it happen. But hey, let's not bring the conversation down.
So
happy thoughts.
Speaking of happy thoughts and ways that missions can alter the way people look at lists, we actually also have an additional special rule that isn't used anywhere else, except for Midwest Conquest. They used our missions this last year. And
they stole all of it, which is awesome. Hey,
I don't mind. Steal away.
Either. Yeah.
But the last one is called Solo Blood. It is a replacement for First Blood. Okay, so anything that would affect First Blood affects Solo Blood. But what it is that it is, the example goes, as an IG army kills an entire enemy unit on the top of turn 1, and the opposing Dark Eldar army does not kill a whole enemy unit in return on the bottom of game turn 1. The IG player has now earned Solo Blood for being the only player who has killed an entire unit during one game turn. The difference, however, between it and First Blood is that both players can earn this throughout the game. So if later on that Dark Eldar player finally spots that command squad that finally came in from reserve and has just that one Venom left that's just right for killing him, goes in and nukes that squad, and the IG player hasn't killed anything back, he also gets Solo Blood. Right? So just like every other tertiary, right, whether it's Linebreaker, Slay the Warlord, right, King of the Hill, or any of the other modified ones that the ITC has come out with, it's earnable by both players. It doesn't just go, I have First Blood. You're now playing the game down by an entire point for the rest of the game, and it doesn't matter. Go ahead, try. The reason that we came up with this is because 3 years ago at Adepticon, during 6th edition, they came out with their post-tournament statistics, and it showed that 90%, let me say that again, 90% of their games within the top half of their field came down to First Blood. 90%, which means that 90% of their games were dictated by the first turn, the first kill, right? Whether that happened on turn 1 or 2 or 3, it doesn't matter. Those games were dictated by the first enemy unit to die.
Right.
That's insane.
Yeah, that is pretty crazy. And I know what GW was thinking when they wrote that. It's basically a tiebreaker point, right? Only one person can get it, and so it's kind of this tiebreaker. But it's not always a tiebreaker, though. That's the thing. If you're not, if you're not tied already, it suddenly becomes a game tire, or if you're tied, it becomes a game winner. So it's kind of a flawed mechanic a little bit, you know.
That's what we thought, and that's why we started using that for the Renegade. We actually got that from a local store that was running tournaments, and that was one of the tertiaries that he came up with, and we're like, yep, we're going to use that for ours now.
Yeah, I don't know of any tournament that actually uses regular First Blood. I can't think of one off the top of my head. We sure as hell don't. Adepticon does still use First Blood.
Adepticon still uses First Blood. A lot of, Southwest GT used First Blood. ITC still uses First Blood, but it's not in every mission.
Oh, okay.
And there's a few other events that are scattered around that still use it. It's not as common, I give you that. But it's like, even something like what the ITC has, such as like Last Strike, where the last person to kill a unit gets it, or Big Game Hunter. So their Big Game Hunter is he who kills the unit worth the most points wins. Well, if I'm fighting an MSU army and they happen to kill a 300 or 400 point unit that I'm running because I kind of need to, guess what, buddy? I literally can't bring that back now. It's just as bad as First Blood. So it's why we've kind of still steered away from those kinds of tertiaries and stuck with ones that can be earned by both players.
Excellent. So, let's see. Is there anything else? You should definitely let folks know. Even though you have a waiting list now, you should definitely let folks know where they can learn more about the GT and sign up and join in the fun. Again, remind the listeners of what the dates are.
It is November 18, 19, and 20 in Roseville, Minnesota, at the Fantasy Flight Game Center. Our website is www.renegadeopen.com, and we are also on Facebook as well.
Awesome. That's excellent. So, is there anything else you want to talk about before we close out the segment?
Not that I can think of. I mean, hey, it may be November in Minnesota, but guess what? It's still 40 degrees. It's not that cold.
Yeah.
Hey, there's still people wearing cheese hats and sitting out in the freezing.
That's right.
Cold,
Go Pack
right?
Go.
Oh,
Thanks for that setup, Adam. You're awesome.
Bird heretic.
Go Sports.
I'm from Wisconsin originally, so yeah, that's why I'm like, yeah, Go Pack Go. We are planning to grow next year. We're going to be looking at going to another hotel. We haven't chosen one yet. We're still exploring what venues would be best, but we do plan on adding additional events. Age of Sigmar, maybe Warhammer Fantasy or any of those events. Guild Ball, make 40K bigger. That sort of thing. And we like I said, if you're not growing, you're stagnant, and we definitely want to keep growing.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
we'll be constantly looking to make the event bigger, better every year.
Awesome. Well, I wish you guys all the luck, and thanks for chatting with us, and thanks for some of the advice there on running the events. I hope the listeners in the Midwest and around the country think long and hard about going to the event and check out the website, and maybe it's something you're interested in, and knocking back a few beers with some delightful Midwest folks, and playing some games. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, no problem.
This is Rob Sanders, and you're listening to the Masters of the Forge, where the world of 40K comes to life on your tabletop.
Hey everybody, check out Veterans of the Long War, a Warhammer 40K podcast on iTunes and on Facebook. We are a 40K podcast based out of Western Massachusetts with contributors from other parts of New England. We talk hobby, tactics, news, and rumors, check out new releases, and talk about our local and regional 40K scene. We're looking for new contributors, so get in touch if you want to be a part. Check us out on iTunes and Facebook. That's Veterans of the Long War, a Warhammer 40K podcast.
Transmission incoming from the Adeptus Terra podcast. A new monthly UK-based 40K podcast has come into the universe, based around the hobby as a whole and the rich background of the 41st millennium. If you're looking for a fun, chilled-out podcast focusing on the fluff of the 41st millennium with tricks and tips on taking part in the hobby, then why not give us a listen? You can find us on iTunes and Facebook as the Adeptus Terra Podcast. You never know, you might just like it. Message ends.
Thanks for listening to that. So next week is going to be Spirit Warriors on your tabletop and the Monster Mash. The Monster Mash is a special game type that you can use to do monstrous creature and dreadnought arena battles.
Ooh.
Or alternatively, a way to do combat patrol style games with just your monstrous creatures and walkers. I'm going to be trying to conscript somebody to play test the rules with me before I release it. So we'll see if we can, I can get that done this week sometime, and I think it'll be fun. Spoiler alert, it's kind of to help with some of the initiative issues you would have in that kind of situation.
Yeah.
I've played a few of these at Buddha Town at Adepticon, and it's a lot of fun. It's just the rules need to be massaged a little bit to help out with that.
Is this kind of like Hero Hammer or that rule set that used to be around?
Sort of, yeah. But we'll get into more detail about that next week.
Cool.
But until then,
we have to talk about Twitter and Facebook and iTunes and
no, I don't even like those things.
Aww.
All right, fine. Hey, everybody, do us a favor. Go to our Facebook page, Masters of the Forge, Facebook. Wait, Facebook.com/Masters of the Forge. That's it. Then we have a website, right?
Yes, we do have a website. It has all of our supplements and our all of our supplements and all of our various other things that we've put together.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And we also have Twitter, Masters of Forge.
Yep. We are not on Instagram.
Yeah, we are not on Instagram, no. We're not on Snapchat, which I don't even know how to use that. Did you know that Snapchat actually designed their app so old people can't use it?
Aww.
Right? They designed it so it's hard for us to use.
Speak for yourself. I'm ageless. I will be around thousands of years.
Right. But until then,
play the game the way you want to.
Yes. I'm so tired.
What? No, nailed it?
This podcast is protected by the Creative Commons Attribution, No Derivatives, Non-Commercial International License. More information about this license and contact information if you have any requests can be found at our blog, mastersoftheforge.com.
It's such a good feeling to play games your way. It's such a happy feeling 40K'ing away. And when you throw dice with story in mind, it's such a wonderful way to unwind. It's a good feeling, a very good feeling, the feeling you know that we'll be back when the fortnight's new, and we'll have new ideas for you, and you'll have things you'll want to talk about. We will too.